My name is Angie Viscianen, and I am the founder of Leg Up Legal. We provide a mentoring program that connects prospective law students to lawyers for mentoring to help them learn a little bit more about the legal profession before diving headfirst into law school. And we started doing these Zoom meetups so that any prospective law student, current law student, and lawyer can join us every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays to get some tips that might help them with the law school application process or navigating the legal profession. So today I have a very special guest with me, and I have Natalie Elisha Gold. She is a fantastic estates and wills lawyer, and she went to law school for free and owned her own firm and was debt free by 25. So I think she's got some awesome tips to share with you guys. So Natalie, can you take it away?
Angie, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie Elisha Gold. I am an attorney from coast to coast, from New York to California, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you. What I really love to do is empower and encourage the youth, the young people, and I mean, I'm not that old, so, our contemporaries, and just bestow upon them the knowledge that I have learned in my journey so that hopefully you can find a piece of inspiration for yourself or avoid some of the mistakes I made so that you don't have to make them and that you can instead rise, thrive, and continue to do amazing shit in the world. So here is the deal, okay? Most lawyers are not like Angie and I, okay? And you don't have to be what you consider to be a boring lawyer. You can use the law and the legal platform to do so many wonderful things because no matter what, a legal education can give you such an entrance point into any industry, even if it's not necessarily the law, right? Angie was at a big firm and now has built this amazing platform and this amazing company using the law background she has. And I'm sure every day she's able to use that legal experience. So here's the deal, guys, okay? First of all, I'm not going to push any person into law school until you understand what that means. Law school is a very big financial investment, and even more so than the financial, an investment of your time. So if you're thinking, I started school in 2010. It was the most competitive year ever in the history of law to go to law school because everyone had lost their jobs and was thinking, I'm going to go. Now, I was a little 21-year-old kid who knew nothing except that I always was going to be a lawyer and I was always going to fight for justice because at 15 years old, I was hit by a drag racing car and the guy had no insurance policy and I was basically left with almost nothing from that. Entire body broken, left side had 4 pieces of metal to this day. And I promised myself at that 15-year-old self that I am going to bring justice into this world. So as a result, I went to Binghamton University where I did full double major in 2 years. And then I went to law school in a full scholarship and not just St. John's where I went, which I love. Every law school I applied to essentially gave me a full scholarship or very close to come to them and to woo me to them. Why? What was so special? I'm going to tell you, my story is great. I have fabulous energy, blah, 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 blah. No one cares. When you are getting into law school, here's what they're looking at. What's your LSAT score and what's your GPA? Here's a mix, and we're going to spit out A, yes, absolutely. C, hell no. B, maybe. Let's see what else shakes out. Anyone who it's the experiences, this personal statement, they're important. But let me tell you something. You want to be in the admit yes 100% category. And the only way to do it is to kill it on your GPA and kill it on the LSAT. And I would even say, Angie, that the best $1,200 I ever spent was taking a course with the right group tutoring person, who I'm happy to give you her information now. We're still friends. Because that $1,200, okay, allowed me to streamline my studying so that I was able to get in the top 90th percentile of the LSAT score.
I like that you're saying that because I completely agree. I think it's really important to make sure that you just knock those 2 factors out of the park. Yes, law schools will look at you kind of holistically, But GPA and LSAT is definitely two paramount factors, right? So it's worth trying to get higher scores on the LSAT because that means more money. That means more scholarship money, right? So that's
No doubt.
awesome, you know. And people ask me, like, is it worth investing in a course for LSAT? And it's like, well, if you think it's going to get you $50,000 worth more in scholarships, heck yeah, right?
It's a no-brainer. It's not even a question. I mean, wouldn't you spend $1,200 to get a $200,000 gift, which is what law school cost? And excuse me, did I say $200,000? I meant that's the net amount you're paying plus living and board and books.
Well, and it's gone up in our time. I mean, so now if you go to
200
one
was
of the
when I
top
went to
three
school
law
10
schools,
years ago, right?
yeah, it's over 300,000 if you pay the whole way full debt at the top three law schools. So if you're planning to go to, you know, Columbia, Harvard, you're looking at about 300 grand in debt.
And Angie, the truth is, the number 300 law school, if there even is such, or 100, they cost the same thing. So people, wake the hell up. And if your law school is not a top-ranked superstar law school, and if it's a regular schmo law school, it doesn't matter because you're still going to be a lawyer. You're still going to be able to go out there and get the opportunities. But be real with yourself. If you're going to a non-ranked school, it's great if you want to work locally, if you already have an in, if you are entrepreneurial and want to start your own firm. But don't pretend that these old stuffy law firms are going to look at you from the bat. They're not. And they very much want the prestige, BS prestige, whatever, of people who go to the top law schools to say, well, you know what? He went to Harvard. To me, that is the biggest BS that ever was, because I would happily wipe the floor with any of those schmoes any day of the week. However, you have to have such resilience in yourself to understand that. And you know what? The truth is that unless you know, like, here is the path, figure it out first. Work for free. Intern. Because if you hate the practice of law, what the hell are you wasting $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 net? So how much money do you have to make in order to be able to pay that? Double, triple, because remember taxes and living. You're going to have that debt potentially for the rest of your life. So take the time and really get that LSAT right.
The point that you made about working for an attorney, I think, is so important too, because people ask me, oh, should I have work experience before I go to law school? And I'm like, I'm not telling you to go get work experience just so that you can have work experience on your resume. I'm telling you to go work for a lawyer because you need to find out if you can actually do this for the next 40 years of your life. You need to find out whether or not you can even stand being around other lawyers for the next 40 years of your life. You might, you know, decide once working with lawyers, like, oh my God, I would rather rip off my left arm than hang around these people all day.
And how great, what a gift did you give yourself? You took 6 months. Maybe you didn't make a lot of money, but you didn't take on $300,000 worth of debt.
Right.
And you didn't take on the admission cycle, which is a year plus, 3 years in law school minimum, although I'll tell you guys how you can do in 2.5. The bar exam, you're looking 5-6 years deep in the time when you're most likely in your 20s. Those could be the best years of getting experience at a different opportunity or starting your own thing. Debt, let me explain to you what student loan debt is. Shackles that unless the government changes the laws right now, you cannot even get rid of in bankruptcy. Okay? So you have to be really sober when you make the decision to take that on. And you need to take, no one ever told me, you know what? We're adults. And we need to take this responsibility upon, and I'm sorry if this seems harsh, but the fact is it's way harsher for you to wake up one day, have $300,000 worth of debt, have a failing marriage because you're so stressed out about money, and hate the job that you're in. So I'd rather be tough now. If you decide that law school is for you, let's say you had the experience and said, I'm gung-ho, I'm doing it. Great. Here's what I want you to do, okay? ASAT, LSAT, and make sure that you spend the time to get it right. Now, if you don't, and let's say no matter what you do, you're just not getting over, a mid-tier score. Go to the school that gives you the most money. Period.
That's
When
exactly
people are
what
like,
I did.
exactly.
I went to the school that gave me the most in scholarships.
I mean, there's no doubt, because when people are like, you go to the top ranked school, wake the hell up. These law firms are collapsing at the seams. Who needs a fancy big law firm anymore? Who's going into an office? The whole world is shifting, okay? So if you guys are thinking that's going to be the same way it always was, I think COVID might have been the final blow to that old regime. So let us actually take the opportunity to think about, what do I want? Period. Question mark, I guess. What do I want? And if the answer is, I don't know, then do yourself a favor and get some experiences. Because if you don't know is the answer you're going to law school, you're making a mistake. If you think that you're going to find some piece of inspiration because you're spending $300,000, you're making a mistake. Go and experience the world in whatever capacity today we can. I understand this is a very different world that we're living in today than we did even 3 months ago, because we're not going to be able to get on the plane and travel the world and see. But get the experiences. Now more than ever, entrepreneurs are tapped out. They're looking for people who can be there on a cost affordable basis. For you, don't think about, am I making $15 or $16? It's irrelevant. You're getting your foot into a company, and if you make yourself irresistible and irreplaceable, who would ever get rid of you? And then you're going to move up and up and up and up, and you're actually going to see what you want. And if it's at a law firm, guess what? You're going to go to law school and have a guaranteed job at the end. Knowing the law and not being some schmucky McGaggy who knows nothing after the first day of law school and thinks they're entitled to a multiple six-figure salary. Those days are over, people. I'm sorry to say, it's over. Maybe at the top big law firms that are still going to survive after this, maybe, okay? But for most people end up being in private practice, which means small, which means smaller salaries. So is a private practitioner like myself going to say, oh my God, Alyssa, you are just so fabulous and you are God's gift to the universe, and I know that you know every piece of law I do, how to do it, and that you're going to do it better than me. So please, here, be my partner and take all this money to work for my firm. Wake up. That's not happening. The people who you're going to be taking jobs from have worked very hard to build out what they've built. So when you come in, they need to teach you everything from scratch, which is taking time away from their day-to-day. You need to be an asset to that business as opposed to a liability. We're talking about business ownership, even though we're talking about the law, because many law firms are small businesses, and even the bigger firms, everything is a business, baby. It's about, how do you make the firm more money? That's all a law firm is. How do you make more money? Now, if you want to go in to fight for justice and to fight for the little guy, do it. But be realistic, because if you want to be a DA, okay, you're not going to make a ton of money. So take that into consideration when you're looking at the different law schools. If one's going to cost you $300 and one's going to cost you nothing, and maybe the $300 is more prestigious, but if you're going to be a DA making $50,000 or $60,000, do you want the $300,000 education to be weighing you down for the rest of your life? Which, by the way, is the education even different? I would actually say that the law schools that allow you to get your hands dirty, to allow you to actually see how the practice of law is done, are way more valuable than many of the top tiers, because they're teaching you real life skills that are translatable. But if you're going to, these top schools, they don't want you to be a DA. They want you to be a billable partner, to get other billable partners in the door after your reign is over. That's the gig here, people. So Angie, I think the lesson is go in with your eyes wide open and see, is this really the path that you want? And if it is, do everything in your power to stack the deck in your favor. Get the most scholarship you can, do everything you can to move up and get the experiences, okay? The difference between an A and an A minus or a B and a B plus are so negligible. Who cares? Who talks about it even? It's what children talk about. But the difference between being able to know how to run a case by yourself the moment you become a lawyer, because you've had 4 years of experience between your law school and taking the bar, and you know it inside and out, and could realistically start your own firm from the second you're 24, 25 years old, that is worthless, my friends. It's priceless. It's not worthless. What the hell am I saying? I need more coffee. Answer. Thank you. You caught me in that. You're laughing. I'm laughing at myself. It is totally priceless. And your worth will skyrocket because now you know something about the practice of law. The practice of law is not law school. The BS hypotheticals, yeah, they come up once in a while, and guess what? There's a miracle out there that I'll tell you all about. I know you haven't heard about it before. Google. That tells you the law, and that's what the bar examiners are testing, okay? It's ridiculous. But how you engage with clients, how you tell the story, how you know, and they know that they're going to be in great hands and you're protecting them, that's what makes you a good lawyer.
It doesn't matter what your law school that you go to, right? I mean, sometimes law schools are really good at, teaching you that, how to be a good advocate, but there are definitely T14 law schools that do a terrible job. There are some law schools that are much better at teaching practical experience than others. So, I think, Natalie's point is you really need to think about the cost-benefit analysis for yourself. If you want to practice something like public interest law and you're going to a law school that's going to cost you $200,000, like that makes no financial sense. If you think that you're going to be in big law, making those big bucks, and you want to go to a T14 law school so that you can do that, just keep in mind that the number of people who get there is very, very small, right? So, there's really no guarantee that you're going to be in that group. There might be 10 or 15% of you that get hired by big law out of law school. But you either have to be a mega networker, know the right people, or you come from, the top 10% of your class or top 15% of your class at a lower tiered law school. But it's a huge gamble. You don't know what grades you're going to get in law school. So if you're going to law school banking on being in big law, you better think that you are going to be in that top echelon of your class. It's going to be really,
and
really
Angie, let's be real. Why is big law so sexy? Beyond the money, okay, let's say that the money wasn't part of it and that you could make more doing what you love to do. What the hell is so sexy about it?
It's the exclusivity, the fact that the way schools sell it, at least like your career counselors, they have a goal. Like they want you to either go the big law route if you're in that bracket, or they want you to go the public interest route, because at the end of the day, that helps the school's rankings. And law school, as well as companies, are a business, and they want to excel themselves first before they excel you. It's like this, the harsh reality. I had career counselors trying to push me in a direction that would help them more so than what my interests are. So they're all like, "Oh, you're better off being a DA," and I'm like, "I want to do IP." Where like that's so far, that's so far apart. I don't understand where you're getting that. I can go to court and say like, "Your Honor, my client's innocent," or my client.
By the way, are you Georgian?
I am, yeah.
I am also.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so I love it. I love it. Let's talk offline, Miriam.
Definitely.
But I completely agree with Miriam. I mean, I had career counselors that told me I was never going to get a, first year job in trademark law. And I was like, just watch me. I'll go do it. And I did, it's tough. Like, especially if you go to a regional school, like I think they think that your job prospects are limited, but you totally can do it. And I think Natalie's right. As long as you know what's in your own heart, what your own interests are, you have goals when you get into law school. What happens is a lot of people go to law school with really vague goals. They're like, I just want to help people. That's great. But if you don't have an idea of, what sort of law you want to practice or what sort of career path that you want, it's going to be so much easier to get swept away by the tide, to just get pulled into that game of what everyone else is talking about. What's their version of success? And you're not defining that. So I think Natalie's point is that you should take some time and define that. Figure out what's going to make you happy. What type of career do you want? And the thing is, there's no way for you to really do that without talking to lawyers. Talk to them about what their lives are like. See, can I see myself being this type of person? Can you see yourself being Natalie? Can you see yourself being Miriam or me? Can you see yourself being, the other types of lawyers that you're interacting with on LinkedIn or anywhere else online? Talk to those people. Ask them straight out. Are you happy with what you're doing? And see if you can really envision yourself doing that type of thing. I think if you talk to most of the people in big law, a lot of them just feel trapped. Just straight up trapped. They're trapped by these golden handcuffs that they went to these really expensive law schools to pay off these loans. And they're stuck working these insane hours to pay off that debt and live this lifestyle that everyone thinks is so sexy. And it's really not. It's exhausting. It can be really exhausting.
My husband, Angie, started at a big firm at Simpson Thacher as a patent attorney, okay? And he's a tech entrepreneur now and just brilliant. Here's the thing. He basically put it the best way. He goes, they have a racket going on and they make you partner based on whose soul they can suck the most. And I hate to be like, big law shit. No, there is a room for big law. And I wish that all of you who want that path, that you go and excel and fly. I'm just saying that for most people, and I do a lot of mentorship and I do a lot of speaking from coast to coast on college campuses and middle schools and high schools. And you hit the nail on the head when you said, are you happy? Happiness is the only thing as people that we really want. We do things that are bad for us because it makes us happy. Happy. It's the only thing. So figure that out. What makes you smile? What makes you enjoy? And someone here is asking me about how to start your own firm. So I would like to pivot to that to talk about, okay, you've made the decision, you've gone through law school, and now you're ready to open your own shingle, how we can do that. So, Angie, is that okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
So, okay, number one, you take on 0 costs that you don't need to take on, okay? 0. You don't need a fancy office because right now everyone is working from home. So you want to know what I did, guys? I was a New York lawyer and I was 24 years old and I wanted to make a bang. So what did I want? A very fancy Park Avenue address. So I went out to a virtual office space and I got my address. And they were going to start paying me, or I was going to start paying them in May or June. But I was starting my business, it was like March. So I said, I'm going to still use that address and have the 2 months that I'm not going to have to even pay the $175 I was paying for the address and for the ability to use the conference room. And here's the deal. No one cares, okay? No one cares. And if people are judging you by what the address is on your business card, like, do you even want to be around them? Do you even want them to be part of your network? And then network, okay? If you are scared to go bring in the business, WTF are you thinking about opening your own law firm? It is a business. Nothing, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You need to be out there every day, all day. All I do is hustling. Hello. Because you need to be out there going to bring it in and getting your name out. Because what makes you different than the 500 other estate attorneys in your building alone? Forget the rest of Manhattan. In your building alone. And that is simply by your network is your net worth. You build relationships. Now, you're going to see that much of your work is actually going out and building the relationships as opposed to even doing the legal work. So if you love the true practice of law, and which most people do, of figuring out like the intricacies, the correct drafting, and you should probably work for a firm because they're going to worry about the bringing in employer. And if you are someone who's like a crazy psycho like me, who likes to be out there, loves to make the relationships, and loves to be networking all day, every day, and to me it is the fuel that lights my fire, you should have your own firm. Lisa, hi, my friend. How are you?
Hey, how are you? I'm so glad I could drop in. Sorry, I'm late. You are making such great points, Natalie. So my husband's also an estate planning attorney who went out on his own, I think at about like 28. Same exact thing, Natalie. He joined the Rotary Club, which was great. So you have to join a lot of organizations. He joined, there was a networking organization he joined that would meet every week where they did referrals. You have to hustle.
Oh, yeah. There is no way around it. And Lisa, by the way, guys, is a brilliant attorney at the state office in California, working for the state. So she's unbelievable and such a resource. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Lisa.
Absolutely. And starting a law firm is really difficult. But as Natalie said, if you want to be financially successful, if that's really important to you, that is the way to go. Because also you have a lot of tax write-offs. There's a lot of things that you can have as well that really actually allow you to have a higher quality of life than you would working for a firm. But if you don't like networking and making the connections, then it is not for you. And that's why I didn't do it, because that was not my thing, particularly at that age. I just didn't have it in me to do that. And I'm more of an introvert. So I went to work for the state, and then my husband did his own practice. And that was a great sort of partnership, because then I had the very stable job and he had the big money job that just brought in, but sometimes intermittently.
Lisa, I think you made a great point that it's not every month that you're going to be having an amazing month. You're going to go through some dry spurts, and people have to be financially prepared for that. And I also think when it comes to the debt that people are taking on for student loans, that minimizes your opportunities, because you don't have you have the fear of paying that debt every month, as opposed to I'm going to go get it and doesn't matter if I don't make money for 6 months because I know I'm going to kill it. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, your nut is bigger. So that's, as a sole practitioner or as owning your own firm, you have a nut you have to make every week. And it doesn't matter if your business doesn't bring it in, you got to pay that out. So it's a different level of responsibility and sort of you got to be a business person too. So I think that's great advice.
Thank you so much. And you hit the nail on the head too about the expenses. Once you take on expenses, especially other people, I mean, any of you who have ever worked for a company, did you ask your boss, hey boss, how was this week? Oh, I saw you were a little bit slow. Don't worry, I'm not going to take my salary. In fact, if we did that, there'd be lawsuits up the wazoo. You have to pay your people. So also be careful about bringing on people too soon and paying them too much if you don't know that you can cover that, even in the event of a COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've had parts in my husband's practice where there were times when he would lose a secretary, receptionist or whatever, and he didn't have the time because he was in trial to get a new one. We actually, for a while, I found him a service that did the reception stuff. They'd answer the phone, take a message, and call him, which was much less expensive. So if you're just starting up, you can have as Natalie said, you can rent office space, or you can rent like a virtual office. You can have the virtual receptionist, and then there's paralegals that you can hire on a contract basis that'll handle your stuff. And that's a lot better than taking on a full-time employee.
No doubt. And Lisa, thank you for putting that as an appetizer for me, ready to go. Get contractors whenever you can. If you don't have a necessary monthly expense and it's only use it when you need it, you know that you can conserve more of your capital to be able to pay only as you have work. And especially when you're starting up, you need to have that flexibility. Answer asked me here, at a family at a young age, children are very expensive. Yes, they are very expensive. That's 2 under 2. Look, you need to be able to take your life into effect. And I'm being very, broad sweeping, because of course I have to be. I don't know each of your individual backgrounds and all that. But the fact is that we all make decisions in life, and we all have the background and the family around us that we have. So you have to be very real with yourself of, look, if you don't have the buy-in and the support of your spouse and family, it's almost dead before it's begun, because you need that. My husband is my greatest partner in life because he supports me in what I do. And we're both very busy entrepreneurs working from different rooms in the house. I'm literally like in a corner right now where my kids are not screaming. But you need that person by your side if you are married that's going to say, honey, I'm behind you no matter what, and I got your back. And if you don't have that, and if you don't have someone who is supporting you in that way, you really have to think about what are the true options that exist.
I have one question. I was going to ask you, Natalie, what kind of networking resources did you do specifically? Because I'm sure you did a number, and maybe even, they can be things that you're personally interested in. I know some people do things, like I said, Rotary Club was what my husband did, and that
Sure.
was really helpful because they've got a big national network.
It's huge. So national networking groups, I joined BNI to start, and then I became one of the BNI presidents in Manhattan. BNI Business Network International, they're an international organization that has groups all over the country and all over the world. Amazing. And it was a great place for me to start. Now I'm in a networking group called Provisors, which is more about more experienced practitioners and stuff like that. And the truth is, every person that you meet is a potential referral source. That's how you have to look at them. You are your brand 100% of the time, because you never know when that person's going to need estate planning, or heaven forbid a person dies, or if you guys want to be in criminal and you hear of someone who needs a criminal attorney. This is how it works. You're always out there. You're always presenting yourself to the world, especially when you have your own firm. So you have to act like everything is being recorded, because it is.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Natalie, because even my husband, like, I know one of our doctors became you can get a client anywhere. It can actually even be people you're going to once they meet you and learn what you're about, and then they trust you and are comfortable with you. And it may not even be somebody you're looking necessarily for as a client, but you're always.
Lisa, my favorite story is I just got back to California from New York, and it was recently. I had my second child. Now, my two children are very close together, so I didn't realize I was going to be having my second child so close. So after my first child was born, I lent out to a friend's friend. I'd never even met this person my few very high-end baby things I didn't think I needed. Well, lo and behold, we came back to California, and I ended up really needing those things. So the woman brought it back, and I had never met her. She was just a friend of a friend that I did a nice thing for. All of a sudden, it turns out her father had just passed away, and they didn't know what to do, and that became an unbelievable client for me and a friend. I don't think that there is a difference between work and life. It's just life. And people see you how you show up, and the way a man or woman does anything is the way that they do everything. So, people see you, and then people see your gracious heart, and people see that you're generous in nature, and people see who you are and showing up as, and they either love it or they don't. And you do not give weight. You do not let people who are you're putting in the front row of your life and your decision making, but they are back row dwellers and have never left the back row in their lives and have never done shit. You do not take advice from those people, because it's very easy to talk and it's very hard to do.
Yeah. And it sounds like you do something also. It's funny listening to you. I see what great estate planners do, because you're so much like my husband. And one of the things he does is his clients become his friends. He's an emotional support for them. He is both a legal counselor and also an emotional counselor, because a lot of times in litigation, or when you're in a legal situation, people are in time of crisis, and they really need someone that has their back. And so to understand that, personal skill and ability is so important, I think, when you have your own practice, to develop the client relationships. And then they'll refer you, but again, they're friends. They're people, we go to we'll go to their vacation house with them, or we'll go to take them out to dinner if they're in town.
It's great, Lisa. And it's all about that, right? It's all about building the relationships, because why do you want to be around people you can't stand? It's just not worth it. The money isn't worth it. They're going to suck the life out of you. Who cares? You'll always make money. Here's the deal, people. You're going to make money. Money is in no short supply. The government is now printing trillions of dollars. Who knew? We are abundant. There is an unlimited supply out there for us to get whatever we want. You just have to believe in yourself and take the first step.
I think you wrote a book about this, didn't you, Natalie? So Natalie actually wrote 2 books, and if you're interested in looking at her books, check them out on Amazon. That's actually one of the ways that I think she helped establish herself as an expert in her field, is writing books. I think for people who are interested in starting their own firms and becoming lawyers and how to brand yourself, writing a book can be a really great resource, right?
And we'll save that for a different day, Angie. Yes, the Millennials Guide to the Universe and Money Mama, because I think I could talk another hour about that, and I'm sure everyone has stuff to do today. But it's been great, Angie, and really, I am so proud of you and everything you're doing for students to truly give them a better experience than we had, and without the knowledge of truly, the legal experience and the right mentorship, which is everything. So my hat's off to you, darling. You're making a huge positive impact in the life of these students, and I just wish you all the success with Leg Up Legal.
Thank you so much. We've got some more questions in the chat box. So Paige is asking, do you believe there are more negative consequences in going to law school straight after undergrad when compared to those who work, not necessarily in the legal field, for a year or two before going to?
I don't think either way is bad. I mean, I graduated law school 23 years old because I did college in 2 years. And then I took a year off because I kind of didn't realize I was going to do it so fast. There is no right way. It's what's right for you. So if you need a few of those years to be able to get some money under your belt so that you can go to law school, that's what you need to do. If you want to go straight through and you're able to be ace the LSAT and get a full scholarship, that's what you do. I don't think there's a broad stroke like this is what you should do. I do think, though, that when you're in law school, and even before if you can, you try to collect the experiences that will guide your decision of what you're going to end up doing and who you're going to end up being able to lean on to do it. And guess what, Angie, too? My first firm job, I was looking at the window. It was I was on the second floor of this law firm, and it was like a small little house. And I was thinking, I wonder if I drop out of this window, not going to hurt enough. It's just going to hurt, but not. That is no way to live a life.
That is not a way to live a life at all. You should be really rethinking your choices when you get there.
So, look, there is no magic pill. I cannot tell you here's what we're going to do without knowing a person. But the fact is, who the hell am I to tell anyone what is right for them? You want to know that? People waste a lot of money. People waste a lot of time. Just quiet your mind and think, what is right for me? What is the one next step I need to take right now to make my life better? And believe me, the answer will come.
Brilliant advice. I see some hands up. Tanya, did you have a question?
Hey everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi Tanya.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to sort of address Paige's question from my own life experience. I enrolled in law school right out of undergrad, and similar to the advice that's been given here about getting scholarships, I totally second that. That's very important. I actually ended up dropping out within the first week before the refund deadline, and I went to work, and I worked for 10 years, and I've worked in the energy industry specifically. I ended up working on a litigation in a state on the East Coast. And that made me realize why I had interest in going to law school in the first place. And it helped me to figure out what my intended practice area is. And so I actually reapplied. And, you might think I just want to echo everything that everyone's saying here. And especially, there's no right way to do anything. There's no right sequence. You can drop out of law school and go 10 years later. And I'm telling you, I'm going to a T14 on a very generous scholarship. And you only limit yourself by believing that there's a right way to do things. So I would encourage you to, take this great advice and follow your heart, but spend some time thinking about what it is you want to do. What are you happy doing? What are the subjects that you're interested in?
Tanya, and I love that story. And I especially love what you said about the T14s. And I want to make it very clear to people, if you're going to any school like that, and if you're paying to be at a law school or not paying, if you're choosing to live your life and take the steps through law school, please understand what a school is really offering you. The education, just so you know, is basically free everywhere today online, from Harvard to Yale to every other school on Coursera or whatever. It's the education and the ability to network with your peers who will be your peers in practice. So please take that opportunity to look around and say, who is in my class and who's going somewhere? And I want to be friends with those people. And I want to be friends with people who will inspire, uplift, and make me better, because they say that you are the average of the top 5 people you hang out with. And it's absolutely true. So surround yourself with good people and make sure that you take that opportunity. Forget the studying, okay? Yes, it's important. Yes, of course, do it. But here's the deal about law school. The last week is all that matters for finals. The stuff before, when people drive themselves crazy, it's insane. Once I figured out the law school code, like I was acing law school, and I was like, this is easy as hell, but you have to crack the code. You got to make the relationships.
Angelica?
Hi. I had a question about like the competitiveness of the upcoming admission cycle given the recent pandemic, because I'm an incoming senior at UC Berkeley and I've been advised that maybe I should apply for law school this next cycle to avoid the job market for 3 years, but I'm not sure if that would just make it more competitive or if
I have a ton
this
of
is
thoughts
actually
on that,
a good
but go
time.
ahead, Natalie.
Yeah, Angie, I really am interested to hear. Yeah, someone asked me this yesterday because they were asking me like basically the same exact question. How do I do it? And I said 10 years ago when I went to law school, it was 2010, it was the most competitive. I'm not just you can look statistically, the year after 25% fewer people applied, the year after that 25% even fewer than that applied, and now it's way down. I really don't know, because 10 years ago was a different world even than today in a big way. And I don't know how many big law firms are truly going to survive in the same way that they are now. And I also think that this generation is more inclined to be an entrepreneur online. So I just don't know. It could either be a huge boom or it could be like law schools are dead. I just don't know. Angie, what do you think?
Yeah, okay. So I've looked at a lot of the, talk and chatter among law school admissions consultants, and I think the general consensus is, of course, when economic times are bad, law school applications soar because people do exactly that. They think they're going to go wait it out in law school. I think that you should look at the classes of 2010, 2011, 2012 as a cautionary tale, because those people made that gamble and didn't necessarily hit big. So you don't know how long a recession is going to last. You don't know how long the economic downturn. I made the same gamble. I entered law school in 2010. I graduated in 2000. I was lucky because the market had started to swing back around when I graduated in 2013. Big law started hiring again. There was a lot of other small firms hiring again. The demand was up. So, but you really don't know. The people who went in just a year before me and just a year before them, it looked like there was about a 5-year slump in the legal market where people who were getting out were not getting offers. They were getting furloughed. They were getting told, oh, we're rescinding your offer, or, hey, yes, we'll still take you, but go take off for a year and we'll pay your salary, but we don't want you here. We don't have time to train you and we don't, sorry. So I think that, one thing you might want to consider is this time around, it's different. COVID is different than the recession of 2000. It's not just bad economic times, it's bad economic times coupled with you might be doing law school online. And if you are paying a crap ton of money to go to law school, you want the full experience. There are no redos once you pull that trigger and you're like, I'm going to law school. Once you start your 1L year, you are going to either be classified as a transfer student later, or if you drop out, you're going to have to, come back and finish the other 2 years, but there is no starting over. So if you really think that you want to go into law school right now, you better be the type of a person who is entrepreneurial, who you can survive this no matter who, or no matter how bad the job market is. You know yourself and you can network, you can make the right connections in the legal industry to get a job no matter what everyone else is doing. So I think you make those law schools work for you, okay?
Totally.
So if you
have the power.
Exactly. So, you pay for that when you think it's worth it. If you're going into law school this year and everything's going to be online, the biggest value that I got out of law school was all of the people who were in law school with me, building those bonds with your classmates. And you cannot build those same bonds online. You just can't. It's different. So yeah, you don't build bonds when you're doing a Zoom study group. You don't build bonds when you're, watching a lecture through Zoom. You build bonds when all of you go out for a beer after that exam because you felt like you just got hit by a bus. That's when you're building your bonds, okay?
So, a big bus.
Yeah.
A big bus.
A giant bus, okay? So those, like, think about it. Like, it's not just, oh, I might get out during a recession, I might not. It's, if my law school experience is online, do I really feel like I'm getting what the legal education that I want?
Angie, and by the way, people don't have to go to law school to become lawyers. In certain states, like California, which I spoke on H.
I wouldn't suggest any of it. I think it's still a great idea to go get a foundational legal education. But to the point of, do I think the next cycle will be more competitive? Yes, I do. A little more competitive. But if you're worried about competition, what are you doing going along? Like, law school is all about competition, okay? So you need to figure out if you yourself can handle that, okay? So if you think you're going to be competitive this year, you're going to be competitive next year. Do I think that LSAT scores are going to be a little bit higher next year to get in? Yes. Do I think it's going to be a little bit tougher to get in next year? Probably, because you're going to be battling with a lot of people who might be deferring their admission. But on that point, I don't think that law schools are going to allow as many people to defer as people think. People act like deferring is an automatic thing, like, oh, I'll just defer my admission to next year. No. That law school has to grant that deferral. And law schools are in the business of making money. So
oh, hell yes.
They need people to come this fall. They can't defer all of you, or they won't be making money. So
Angie,
don't get it in your head that, yes, they're going to grant you an automatic deferral. We're not going to. So,
Angie, also, I want to just bring attention to what Olivia is saying about evening students, which is an amazing way to go.
Yep.
And the word competition, I just hate it. Like, realistically, maybe there's 500 people who say they're an estate attorney in the same office building as me. None of them are my competition. No one is me, and no one brings to the table what I bring. So, like, I think it's a true confidence in yourself to be like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to go there, rock it. And when I become a lawyer, I'm going to attract my tribe to come and be my clients and to come and be my people. It's everyone wants the best stuff. Like, money's not just, hanging on trees. But the fact is that you got to go and get it. You got to show the universe that you are the one who can make it happen.
Totally.
I just wanted to touch up on the competition thing. So I think that really also depends on where you go to school and kind of your incoming class, because I think my incoming class was viewed by the admissions as like God Save the Queen type class for my school, for Hofstra. And I found that it actually wasn't as competitive as I was anticipating law school to be. And that aside, I also knew, like, myself personally, I consider myself like a non-conventional law student. Like, I externed every semester. I was going to networking events at all the city bars, state bar associations, and like volunteering at CLEs to meet people in the field that I want to work in. So I wasn't competing with my classmates to get that top grade. I was kind of competing with myself to, how can I make myself, like my personal brand, sharper than just like, can I get that A in Civ Pro? Because I think if I can't even get myself into an interview and show myself without them even seeing my grades, I think that goes further. And I mean, like, fortunately for me, all my interviews have just been from networking. And it's been kind of like, oh, my supervisor interned here. Do you mind passing my resume along? Yeah, absolutely, no problem. And just kind of segueing that way. So once you kind of, and sometimes your friends are also doing things you don't even want to consider. So my best friend's about to be a DA. I don't want to touch anything with criminal law. So all of law school, we never butted heads because we knew we were supporting each other and our careers in different ways. So it was never a competition between my best friend and I, because we were just in different lanes, and that's okay. And I feel like a lot of people go to law school thinking that they're all going to be competing for the same jobs. And in some instances that may be the case, but that's not always the case.
I love that. Children compete, adults inspire and empower. And it's not, if you have something, I can't have it. Such a limited view. It's not one little pie that we're splitting. Expand the pie, people. And yes, Miriam, I love that too. Frederica says, I love your energy. I would love to connect with you offline.
Also,
Yeah.
it's like even people who are in the field that you want to be in. I'm connecting with someone from Cardozo Law because she's working at SAG-AFTRA and she's actually more interested in television and I'm interested in music. And we've said, if we come across people, we're going to send them to each other's way, because even though you're like being a lawyer is about referrals. It's about getting those clients. It's about building the business. So just because she's also in the entertainment industry and in IP doesn't mean we can't work together. And I think a lot of people forget that because they think that it has to be like me by myself, me, myself, and I, and that's not the case. We have to be a collaborative field. Otherwise,
No doubt. No doubt. Lisa and I were on the call yesterday, and her husband is a state attorney, and he does litigation. I don't. I'm so thrilled to meet him and see if we can do something together. There is enough business out there to go around, people. It's about how can we really truly make it better for everyone. And I have loved this time, Angie. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you all for, being here. And I know giving up your time is the most valuable thing we have. I hope that I've said something that has lit a fire within you, inspired you in some way, or said, you know what, I really don't want to go to law school. It's all good. I want you guys to live the most happiest, healthiest, best lives you can. Love to you all. Thank you so much.